Hello, everybody, and welcome to week 3 of BA231. Hopefully, you've enjoyed the first couple of weeks. We've been learning a lot about debits and credits and how they play an important role in the accounting equation. And then we've built on the accounting equation and figuring out how things balance. This week, we are going to dig into more of what everybody probably thinks of when it comes to accounting. We are going to dig into some sales journals and general journal transactions. I know we've done a little bit of that so far, but we're going to do that on all of our assignments this week. So this week, I'm going to go over what is due for this week, and I will get in and I'll show you some examples on the homework. But I am here on the home page, as you can see. So we're going to scroll down to Module 3 and start to dig into that. So you'll see you have your checklist and objectives and your lectures and readings and everything that is due, just like on the first two modules. Let's look at the Module 3 discussion and talk about that for just a second. So our discussion this week is, it says this week we learn about many things you've learned about in other classes, like offering discounts to intermediaries and allowing returns. Now that you know how much work goes into accounting for these things, do you still think they're necessary or a good idea? So give me your honest opinion on this. Try to look at it from the accounting side, but also from the consumer side, and come to your opinion on that. It's great to have pros and cons and look at it from both ways. That's what we would like you to see in this class. So I can tell you from the accounting side, it is a little bit of a hassle to do returns, but it's also probably something that is necessary from the business side to keep your customers happy. So I will give my opinion on it as well as we're going through it, but try to look at it from both sides as you're talking about that. And again, that will be due by the middle of the week. Your 2 responses will be due by the end of the week for a total of 3 responses. Don't forget the word count on that and what you need to have in there. So that is our discussion. Then we'll have our lecture response, which you will report on after watching this. Excuse me. So with the lectures, what I've seen so far have been pretty good, but just please make sure that you're trying to get up to that 150 word count or around there. Again, I'm not going to go through and count every word, but I've seen some people that have had good information, but they've only had, 50, 60, 70 words of only basically a few sentences. Try to elaborate on what we're talking about. Try to talk about the homework, talk about what we're learning and all of that. And then last, we have the week 3 assignments, and this is where I want to spend most of our time because this is the biggest portion of your grade for the week. So I have built templates again for everybody, and if you have any feedback on these templates, again, please always give me feedback. I am more than willing to listen to it. Feedback needs to have some substance to it. Don't just say, hey, I hate the templates. Okay, if you don't like the templates, that's fine, but let me know. Or if there's something that you do like about the class, please let me know that too so I can make sure I do that in other classes. I want my classes to be as productive as possible for all of my students. So I greatly appreciate feedback if you want to give that. So this week, we have 3 assignments, 7.3B, 8.4B, and 9.1B. And I am going to dig into that and show you some examples or walk you through a couple of the problems. So we will start with 7.3B. If everybody wants to turn there and follow along or just listen, whatever is easiest for you, it is on page 227, I believe. I'm turning there right now in my book. So yes, 227. So we are going to be recording sales transactions, posting to the accounts receivable ledger, and preparing a schedule of accounts receivable. So again, we're going to be doing more of the actual accounting work that you would see in an everyday business. So on this one here, you have Wine Country Gift Shops. They sell cards, supplies, and other holiday items. It says all sales are subject to 8% sales tax. Remember that. That's key. I'll get to that in just a second. And it says that they use a sales journal and a general journal. So that's what we'll be filling out. So I've gone through, and you can see in the template here, I've given you a few checkpoints along the way. These are highlighted in yellow. I've also built formulas to help you cover a lot of this. So let's look at our February 3rd transaction, which is right here. So on page 227 there, at the top of the box on February 3rd, it says that you sold Joel Bennett a box of holiday greeting cards for $75 plus sales tax of $6 on sales slip 201. So you can see I've got the February 3rd here for you, the sales slips, Joel Bennett, and then your accounts receivable. So let's think about this. How much did you actually sell? Did you sell $75? Did you sell $6? Or did you sell $6 or did you sell $81? Think about this as if you're going to Walmart to buy groceries. When you go there, you pay them the full amount, not only the amount that Walmart is getting, but the amount of sales tax that the state or whoever the local municipality is going to get, everything. So your total sale includes that. It's the same here. So they sold Joel Bennett $75 of supplies with $6 of tax. So it's a total of $81. So your accounts receivable is going to have $81. Your sales tax payable is the $6. And then, excuse me, this one here is actually a little bit mislabeled. That should be just your sell. I will get that fixed. And that will be $75. So your total will be the 81. So let's look at the next one for Ken Hamlet. So it says that you sold Ken Hamlet a Valentine's Day party pack for $200 plus sales tax of $16. So again, your total is going to be the $216. Your sales tax payable will be the $16. And then you can see I put a formula in there for you, which makes it out to $200. If you don't want to use the formulas, that's fine. I just kind of did that as a help. Then when you go through, you're going to have all of your numbers here, and then your total sales right here should be $3,025. So there's a hint for you. Now, you're going to get down here and you're going to have all of your general journal or ledger transactions. So I want to walk you through the first one on that just so you can kind of see what's expected, because you'll be essentially kind of closing things out or posting things to your books. So let's look at the February 9th transaction for Vicky Meals. So it says you gave her an allowance because an incomplete items in 2 gift packs. So you issued her a credit memorandum for $54, which included $4 of sales tax. So your sales returns and allowances, that's an account that you've got for your returns. You're going to have $50 there because you are giving her back $50. Now, think about this again with our example to Walmart. When you return things to Walmart, let's say you bought it for $10.60. The item was $10.60 was taxed. When you take it back, do you only get the $10 back? No, you get the whole amount back. It's the same thing in this example. You're going to get off $54, or you're going to give her all $54 back. Only 50 of that comes for you. The other 4 comes from the state. So you have your $4 here. Your credit amount should be 54. And you can see here I have these yellow cells which are going to have formulas for you. And I've gone through, I've done all of that. I've done that on a lot of these for you. And then I've also given you some check figures on a couple. So that's what you'll want to do, and you'll want to go through. And then you'll have at your end here, you'll have your schedule of accounts receivable, which will be your total accounts receivable. Here's a hint right here to help you figure that number out. All right, let's get on to the next one so I can make sure to cover all of these. So the next one is 8.4b, which is on page 263. So I'm on page 263 here, and with this one, we are going to journalize credit purchases and purchase returns and allowances, post it to the general ledger and accounts payable ledger, and prepare the schedule of accounts payable. So you'll be dealing with Simpson's Card and Novelty Shop. And it'll have the instructions there. It says to open your general ledger accounts and enter the balance of accounts payable for February. So some of that stuff will kind of just be taken care of with these templates. The main thing that you want to focus here is how your creditors handle that, and then your transactions. So let's look at your first one here, because you want to get your purchase journal done. And your purchase journal will be in that box below with your transactions. So your first one there is February 5th from Packing and Mail Supply Center. So it says you purchased copy paper from Packing and Mail Supply Center for $2,000 plus $100 shipping on invoice 502 dated February 2. So we've got invoice 502, invoice date 2/2. There's your terms given from above, and then you're going to have your accounts payable. So when you bought this from them, you bought $2,000 of supplies, but then you also had to pay $100 to get it shipped. So the total that you had to pay was $2,100. So there's your $2,100. Here's your purchase debits of $2,000, and here's your freight in debit of $100. So you want to make sure that it adds up. So let's look at the next one for just a second. On the 8th, it says that you purchased assorted holiday gift cards from Gifts and Holiday Cards on invoice 2808 for $1,900. So your total that you paid was $1,900. Your purchases debit is going to be the $1,900. That's $1,900. Your freight is 0 because it didn't say anything about freight. So when you get all done with this, this should add up to $270. And I will give you one other hint on that for listening. There's only 3 transactions, I believe, that have a freight in debit to add up to that. And then once you get done with that, again, you will go down here and you're going to handle some of your general journal transactions. For example, on this one on February 20th, it says 1 box of cards purchased on the February 8th from the gifts and holiday cards was water damage. So you got a credit memorandum for $200. So your accounts payable is now going to go down to, or you're going to get your credit for $200 there. So, and there's your $200 credit again. I've given you some formulas here in the yellow cells to help you figure all of that out. You'll go through your general ledger and you'll add all of those up, and it should help populate for you. And then you get down here, you'll have your accounts payable. This amount should be $26,810, and I've also helped you figure out the analyze question at the end. And now on 9.1b. 9.1b is on page 312. Let's get there. Okay, so here on page 312, you are journalizing cash receipts and posting to the general ledger. So you're the book peddler, your retail store, you sell books, business supplies, such and such. And then your instructions are listed below with your general ledger accounts and then all of your transactions. So let's scroll up to the top here. So what we're going to want to do on this one is we need to go through and enter all of our cash receipts journals. So your first one here is you received $500 from Do-It-Yourself Coffee Center, a credit customer. So your accounts receivable credit, right here, you'll have your $500 because you got $500 from them. Had nothing to do with sales tax payable, no sales credits, no account name, you're just getting your money from them. So your cash debit. So remember, you have your debits and credits. This kind of goes back to your T accounts we built on. Your accounts receivable goes down, your cash goes up. So you're going to have a cash debit of $500 that you brought in. I want to show you this next one because there's a few that are kind of broken out. You can see that I've helped you with a lot of this here. You just need to enter the amounts here, and I've given you clues where there's dollar signs. But on this one here, you received a check for $1,802 from Amanda Whitehead to pay her notes receivable. The total included $102 in interest. So her notes receivable, she only paid down $1,700 on that. She paid $102 in interest. So that's how she gets to the $1,802. So you've got to break that out. She's not paying everything towards her note payable. So her note payable here went down by $1,700. You had interest income of $102 for a total cash debit of $1,802. So you'll go through, you'll enter everything up on here, and your amount will be the $26,230, like I've given you here, but just make sure as you go through that your amounts are carrying down. And then on your next one, what you're going to want to do here is, this is your general ledger. So you're going to have your balance. What is your balance of cash on hand? Well, if you look in your general ledger accounts, you will see that it was $1,200. Excuse me. Oh, you'll see it was $1,200, which is right here. Now you want to have your debit for cash right here come down, because this is what your actual cash is a month in. So you started out with $1,200, but you made $26,230. So your new cash amount is $27,430. And you'll go through, you'll enter all of that stuff for your ledger. And again, I have given you formulas to help you out with all of that. And then your total assets for the book peddler are $30,910 to help you with your analyze question. So hopefully this will help you to get going on it, to kind of show you what's expected and how to handle things. If you have any questions, let me know. Like I said, a lot of the stuff that I've seen so far in class has been really good, so keep up the good work. I greatly appreciate it, and I will talk to you in the lecture next week. Thank you.